Hello, sixth graders. So today we are going to talk about debit versus credit, which is something you should hopefully remember from fifth grade, but we are also going to discuss an actual credit report. So let's go ahead and move on to the inside and discuss those things. All right, so again, you should hopefully know a little bit about debit and credit. So the first thing we are going to discuss is debit. Okay, hopefully you have heard of a debit card. A debit card is plastic money, so a card that you do have, and it is in your bank account. Okay, so it is your money, and it is in a bank account. Okay, that could also be called a checking account. And some of you even have heard of savings accounts. So the opposite of that would be a credit. Okay, credit is plastic money you do not have, and you have to pay that money back. And when you pay it back, you have to pay this pesky thing called interest. Okay, interest is extra. Okay, so people are not just going to give you money for free, they are going to give you money, but you're going to have to pay them back a little bit extra. All right, and then here we have some vocab words that mean debit and some vocab words that mean credit. And I also want you to go ahead and fill in debit, remember, is my money, and credit is borrowed money, because if we are having to pay it back, it is borrowed money. Okay, and kind of look through those, and any of those words on either side, you can see those in word problems, and that would mean debit versus credit. All right, so we can also use those to help us solve this problem down here. So we are going to read right here. We need to decide whether each statement goes to debit or credit. So this first problem, a consumer, okay? A consumer is just a customer. They kind of sound the same. A consumer is a customer. It's somebody who buys something. So a consumer can buy things that boost their credit score. Okay, and obviously if it says credit score, it's also up here. That would be credit. So you can shade that box in right there. All right, next, a consumer, which again is just a customer, makes a purchase that comes directly from their bank account. So if it comes from their bank account, that is on my debit side, that is my money. Okay? And then the third one, the total amount of money spent depends on the credit limit. Again, if it says credit, it's definitely going to be credit. Now, a credit limit is actually how much you can borrow, because they're not going to let you borrow $1 million. Okay, so a credit limit tells you how much you can borrow. And then that very bottom one, a consumer can use an ATM to withdraw money. And an ATM, if you've ever been to the Allsups down the road, it says ATM, that means you can go in and get cash. So that is my money, so that would be debit. And that is what we're doing with debit and credit. So debit, my money, credit, borrowed money. All right, let's go to the next page. All right, credit report. Okay, if I have a credit report, we just discussed credit is money that we have to pay back, so it is borrowed money. You have to pay it back, okay? So that's what credit is. So a credit report, okay, I'm gonna fill that in. Okay, I want you to think of this. This is a report card, okay? All of you have gotten a report card. So a report card tells people how you are doing at school. So if you're making good grades, you're doing good at school. If you're making C's and B's, we're kind of struggling a little bit. So a credit report is like a report card of whether or not you are paying back that money you are borrowed. Because if you're just borrowing lots of money and not paying anybody back, new people are not going to give you more money. That just doesn't make sense. But if you are paying people back, then yeah, they're going to be like, yeah, I'll give you some more. And information stays on your credit report. This is really important for 7 to 10 years. Okay. So let's say you bought something and you didn't pay it back. That will stay on your credit report for 10 years. Imagine if you made a C in math class and it stayed on your report card for 10 years. No matter what you did, it was there for 10 years. That's a long time. All right, so we are going to discuss what they care about on that credit report. So which information is not included on a credit report? Okay, remember credit reports, that's your report card. So people want to know, are you going to pay them back? Okay, because that's what a credit report says. It says, are you going to pay them back or not? So do they want to know the number of credit cards a consumer has? So if you have 10 credit cards, they're probably not going to give you any extras. So that is important, but this is a not question, okay? The amount of a loan, okay, so loan means borrowed, but you give it to a family member. So if you give your mom $10, is anybody going to know about that? Is the credit, people are not going to know that. So they definitely do not care about what you do in your family, okay? C, the consumer's total interest paid on a credit card, okay? So interest, remember, interest is that extra, and they do care about that because if you're having to pay extra somewhere else, you're not going to be paying them back. Okay, the amount of late payments. So if you're supposed to pay them on Friday and you don't pay them until Monday, they're going to care about that, okay? Because that means you're not paying them on time. And then the name of a store where a consumer paid cash, okay? Cash, nobody knows about cash. You can do whatever you want with cash. There's not a trail. So they are not going to care about what you do with your cash. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Last question down here, okay? So a consumer, which again is just a customer, applied for a car loan from a bank. So he wants to borrow money from the bank. Which statement best describes the importance of a credit report? Okay, so let's go back up here. Remember, a credit report tells them whether you are going to pay them back. So they want to know, are you going to pay them back? So, A, the credit report shows the likelihood the consumer will, looky there, pay back the loan on time. So that's exactly what we just talked about. We want to know, are you going to pay them back? So that's it. We don't even need to go any further. On B, we have not talked about the level of education. That has nothing to do with your credit report. Higher interest rates. Do not go to higher credit scores. That is wrong. And again, higher interest rates, strong credit, those are the same thing, and that is also wrong. So a credit report is whether you're going to pay stuff back. And they keep track